This is real.
All right.
Ain't nothing staged.
All right. Exactly. We are here. All right. So go ahead, Latasha, and let's start talking about this topic that we're going to share today, and then we'll just get into it.
Let's get into it. And do me a favor, please remind me like 10 minutes to the hour. I have a client right at the hour at 12 o'clock.
Okay, I was getting ready to say.
Yeah, we got plenty of time, but just remind me because I can get to talking.
I already know. I'll do it, thumbs up or something like that. That way you know.
Oh,
yeah. I know how that is, and it's okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the safe space, ma'am. I love it.
Yes.
Love it. Let's go ahead and get started. Hello, Instagram. Every time you see me go like this, it's on Instagram. And hello, Facebook. Facebook is up here. Zoom is up here. So I know last time I kept looking and I was like, I bet you they wondering what the heck I'm looking at. I'm looking at my folks on Instagram. I'm giving love to everybody because we're everywhere.
Yep.
Today is so special. Today is a good day, y'all. It's St. Patrick's Day. We're wearing our little bit of green. Tammy, where's your green? Did you do the green?
I completely forgot. I don't even think I have. Wait, I got some green in my earrings.
There you go. There you go. Green. And you got some money in your pocket too, right?
Got some money in my pocket. Yep, that'll work.
That's the only green you need.
You know what's funny is I actually kind of sort of thought about it, but that's not like a color that I have a lot of, because I'm really not a pastel type of girl. Mm-hmm. But and I think I have like a green sweater, but it's kind of not real cold here today. Supposed to be, I think, 60 or something.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful here.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like 78. That's my perfect temperature.
Yeah.
78.
No, I'm looking forward to that when I go to Arizona. I'm looking forward to that.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
so,
yes.
My name is Latasha LT Jimerson. I'm an author, teacher, book coach. I'm in the beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, y'all. It is a wonderful day. I just did a hike. I'm about to do yoga later on this little mat.
Did you say a hike?
I did a little hike. It's a little tiny hill that I walk up every day. And I'm like, okay, I be out of breath. My heart is like, it's a little tiny baby hike that I do, but it keeps my heart rate up, keeps my legs toned, it keeps my everything just regulated. I have to do it every morning because then I just come back and I feel like, whew, what does the day have for me, Lord? What does the day have?
Yes. Isn't that beautiful though?
It's amazing.
That you can actually do that.
It's an absolute blessing. Like, this is how I wanted my life to be. And I didn't even know until I started creating it.
Yes. That's important. That is so important because a lot of times we have ideas of what we want our life to be, but we a lot of times are afraid to get out there and start creating it. And sometimes it's because of things that happen in our past. Sometimes maybe you tried before, and Latasha and I have talked about this. We have both been like serial entrepreneurs, I would say, because from a child, I always knew that I was not supposed to work for people. And so I was always trying to find stuff, and like I've done Avon, I've done Herbalife, I've done Amway, I've done almost anything you could think of. I did earrings, and a lot of things I knew wasn't me, and I knew I didn't want to do it. But I was like, well, maybe this is a way that, I can make some money and not have to be working for these people. I've done Lyft, I've driven for Lyft. I signed up with Uber, but I didn't do Uber, but I did do Lyft. I did Amazon packages at one time, which I really did enjoy. That was really fun because, you pick the packages up. They already have it set in your phone. So your GPS is already there. You put them in. If you put them in order, it was so much easier. You just drop them off in your car, listening to your music, chilling. I loved it. So I've done lots of things, in my quest for being an entrepreneur. And for me, I think I ran from a lot of the healing part of it because I was afraid. I knew what it entailed. I'd seen it. I knew it was in my legacy because my grandmother was a healer, and she would have people in the house and, you know, all kind of things. And I witnessed a lot of her boundaries, or actually her lack of boundaries, really. And so it was something I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I can't do that, you know, because I felt like she was selfless. Like she gave everything, you know, for the cause, for what she desired, what she wanted, you know, to do and be. And I felt like I didn't want to do that. I have no desire to do that. You know, I am of the mind that I can have my heaven here on earth. You know, I'm of the mind that I ain't got to wait till, you know, I go to heaven in order to get all the things that I should have had here, you know. And so that's something that I was like, I ain't down with that, you know. And it was honestly until she came to me in a vision and she told me, you know, she was abundant, but I'm supposed to take abundance to the next level,
Ooh.
you know. So that was like, that was powerful to me, you know. And so to me, what that meant was I had to face whatever fears I had. I had to face them, just face them and say, you know what, this is who I am. This is what I do, you know, and the people that are supposed to come to me will show up, you know. And I had to just get solidified in that. And then also, I'm going to talk a little bit about our topic today, depression. I had to deal with that. I actually deal with that on a regular basis. It's one of those things that, you know, and for me, there weren't any drugs I could take to help me, none. And I've just learned that that's not for me. So I had to navigate it in different ways. You know, I had to learn how to shift my energy and, you know, move my environment. And that's another reason why I know that travel is my love language,
Yeah.
because travel is something that helps me to combat that too. When I start feeling in that area, oh my God, that vibration. Hold on, let me see. I gotta do something. Oh, maybe it's okay. Okay. All right. So you still hear it?
I'm still here.
It sounds like a echo.
There's an echo.
I don't know where it's from. I just clicked off Facebook to see if maybe it was because Facebook was up.
Do you have another device?
Yeah, but none of them have Facebook on.
Turn the volume down real low
Okay.
on your other device.
But will they hear me on Instagram if I turn the volume low?
Yeah, they should be able to.
Okay.
I can still hear the echo on my phone, but it's so low.
Can you hear it now?
Yeah, but it doesn't bother me. If it
Okay.
starts to bother you, let me know, because we could just close Instagram.
It was kind of bothering me a little bit. That's why I was like, I don't know what is this noise, but I can't do it. Okay. So yeah, so one of the things that would come up is that depression. And what I know is a lot of times depression is concerned with lack. It's like when you are feeling in lack of even emotional stability, and you're feeling in a lack of love, you feel in a lack of money, then these are the times when depression typically comes and hits us. And so that's one of the things that I started dealing with within myself, because I knew that a lot of the depression that I was dealing with was from other people, just because of how empathic I am and how I pick shit up from every single body and everything. Yes. And I knew that a lot of it was not even mine. I knew that as I started doing this work, you know, but I had to start doing the work in order to see that it wasn't mine. It belonged to other people. A lot of it I was picking up, and it was just adding on to, you know, what I was dealing with in myself. And I was like, what is this? You know, and then once I realized that, and then I started learning how to protect myself and how to cover myself, because that was one of the things that, you know, we all do it, especially if you're an empath. You care about people and you care. And so it happens many times that we absorb other people's shit and we don't even realize it. you know. So when we begin to realize it and we begin to deal with it and work with it and work within our energy, because that's another thing that I've learned is that when you're working within your energy, things are going to work out so much better, because we can't do things that are on other people's energy scales. Like I can't do things that are on your energy scale. You know how you go out and walk every day? I admire that and I love it and I send you all the prayers and vibes, but that ain't no shit I can do.
Mhm.
That's just that's not, you know, I honestly like to work out with weights. That's my favorite. I love it. And I'm actually looking at this one that's incorporates yoga and weights. So I was
Ooh.
like, I think yeah. So I already decided, I was like, I'm gonna start that because I want to do yoga, but I love working out with weights. That's my favorite, probably because for me, weights work so much easily and quickly. If I'm consistent, if I do weights for 2 weeks, you can tell by looking at my body. You
Mhm.
know, and so for
Stronger.
me, yeah, I mean, and I've always been that way because I used to run track when I was in high school and all these kind of things and working in marching band and stuff for 4 years and whatnot. And so, you know, and then I was always athletic. I always liked to play basketball. And when I was a kid, I used to play football with the boys.
Wow.
Yeah. So I always was that way. So, you know, it's like, okay. But I can see how when you start to learn what your triggers are,
Mhm.
then you can start moving in a different way. And I'm going to pass it to Latasha and let her bring us up to speed on that part because I know she's very well aware of what we need to do.
Oh yeah. I've been depressed and I've had anxiety since I was about 9 years old. And I didn't really know what it was.
Mm,
All I know is whenever anything would happen, I would figure out a way to take a nap. That was my way of escaping. And I would
yeah.
sleep for a long time because I felt peaceful. And I didn't know I was an empath. I didn't know I was sensitive and absorbing other people's energy. I didn't know anything about that.
Right.
All I knew, I was trying to figure out a way to hurry up, finish with school, and go to my room and take a nap. Get underneath the covers, get underneath the pillow, and take a nap.
Yep.
It was so crazy. When I was a teenager, my mom would be like, "Why are you sleeping like a cat? Are you pregnant?" And I'd be like, "No, I'm just tired.
Isn't that the first question?
I'm just
Girl, are
tired.
you pregnant?
I'm
No.
just tired." And then my moods would swing. I mean, I would be super excited 1 minute and then pissed off another minute. If my sister or my brother touched some one of my items, I would all of a sudden start going off. And I was like, huh, I never really understood why that was. And I mean, it would go from, if this is good mood and this is a bad mood, I mean, it would go from here to shoo real fast.
So you went
I
from
mean,
0 to 10 in, yeah,
quick.
two
I
seconds
mean, I
flat.
I really could just stay here in the middle, right? Like now I know how to stay here in the middle. But throughout my years, I would be shoo, 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 like just wild mood swings. And especially when I got my period. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
yes.
My periods were horrible. I would stay in the bed for a couple days, hurting, sleeping, getting
Yeah.
sick. And then I would be like, I can't go to school. Or a lot of times it worked out to where my period happened on the weekends because I loved going to school. School was my safe place. So I would go to school, everything's good. And then weekend, my period will come. I basically sleep the whole weekend. Same thing in college. When I was on my period, I would just have to email my professor, be like, sorry, I can't come in. I'm in pain. And it just was crazy in college. And there was one time they put me on birth control and
Yeah.
they put it on a certain dose so it could regulate me.
Yeah.
Boy, that birth control. turned me into Cruella de Vil.
Yes, I've been there with that one as well. Yep.
I mean, I started having hallucinations. I started having fits of rage.
That part.
I mean, if this is happy and this is sad, I was just going back and forth. And it was wild. And I didn't know. I didn't know until this one party. This is when I knew I had a problem. There was this party and it was for my birthday. It was a surprise birthday party. And all my friends were at the party. And my boyfriend at the time was like trying to make up all these reasons to keep me distracted so that I didn't know that they were planning a party. And so I just remember getting so paranoid and asking him, like, what are you doing? Why are you lying? What's going on? I thought we were going over here. And because I was asking so many questions, his anxiety kicked up. And he was like, didn't even know what to say. He finally got me to the party. And by the time I got to the party and they opened the door and said, surprise, I was pissed.
You was pissed?
I looked at him and I looked at the people in the party and I said, you know damn well I don't like no surprises. I had a bad attitude problem. And it almost ruined the party because I really walked in with an attitude because I didn't understand what was going on and why people were being so secretive. And I thought people, saying stuff behind my back or whatever. I just got really, really paranoid and really, really angry. And when I walked into the party, I mean, people were looking like, what the hell is wrong with her?
Mm-hmm.
What is going on? It was wild. And so I just went in the room and cried because I was embarrassed because I was like, damn, these people, they came together to throw me a party and look at how I'm acting. I went in the room, cried. I totally was embarrassed because my moods were all over the place. And so finally I went out and enjoyed the party. But that memory was in the back of my mind, like, oh my God, I really need to do something about this. I don't know what's going on. So of course I went back to the doctor, told him about the birth control. I was like, you got to change the dose, blah, 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 blah. Fast forward to the point where I had children. Lo and behold, the hormones from having children and the stress of the job, because I was now working as a teacher and raising children,
Mm-hmm.
that whole cocktail of emotion, I ended up having postpartum depression after each one of my children. But again, I didn't know what it was. And I just was so embarrassed to ask anyone for help or tell anyone what I was going through. I gave birth 4 times. The third one was a stillborn baby.
You gave birth 4 times?
I gave birth 4 times. And
the
third one was a stillborn baby. And so after every baby, I had a baby in the year 2000, a Y2K baby. Y'all remember that Y2K fiasco?
Mm-hmm.
So she's a Y2K baby. And then 2 years later, 2002, I had another baby. And then I stopped for a second because I had also got a new career at the same time, because I was the superwoman with the cape on my back because I felt like I could do everything. So don't bother me.
Of course you could. Of course you could.
I'm over here changing the world. Don't bother me.
Mm-hmm. Leave me alone.
Yeah. So I wasn't asking for help. I didn't realize I was going through the postpartum depression. And what does that look like? Let me explain what that looks like. Okay.
Yes.
So if you guys have friends and family that are going through depression, let me just tell you what
I'm gonna
for
leave
me.
this. I'm gonna leave this video on Instagram, and I'll come back. So just let me back
Okay.
in because it
Okay, no worries.
it don't want to do right.
It's acting crazy, huh?
Yeah, it's wonky.
Well, let me see. Let's take a little quick break and see who's up in the building. I see some people. Let me get some shout outs. I ain't got my glasses on, so I can't really see. Hey, Purple Love 47, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
That's my sister-in-law.
Gabba,
Welcome in.
Gabba Printing NJ, is that New Jersey? New Jersey in the house. Welcome.
Yeah,
Who else is up
yeah.
here? newheights.cs. Hey, newheights.cs, welcome. And the Christopher Williams. Hey, the Christopher Williams. I'm loving it. Welcome to the space. All right. I am really Tammi Morrison is coming back. All right. What's up,
Okay, there we
Instagram?
go.
I love y'all. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, here we
All
go.
right. It looks like I'm back.
All right, there we go. There we
It's
go.
a time with these tech, but you know what? I'm here for it, and it's good. It's like, you know what? We do what we can, what we know, and you know what? We love the rest, and we hope that our energy, supersedes all of that anyway.
Amen. Amen, Instagram. We got you.
All right. So
where did we pause? I think we paused at what depression looked like for me.
yeah, because you want to talk about postpartum depression and what that looked like. Because a lot of people don't know, and even now, I was surprised that a lot of people, with all the education and all the things that have been going forth, and even movies and different things, a lot of people still don't know what that looks like. So explain a little bit about what that looks like and what it looked like for you.
Oh yeah. So my first baby, had her in 2000, and I did have support. I have a mother-in-law and I have a mother there. But obviously they didn't help me 24/7 around the clock. So there were points where, I'm taking care of my baby, and I was breastfeeding at the time. I breastfed her up until she was 5 months. And then she bit me, and I was like, okay, we're done with that. That's not going to happen anymore. So
Look,
that
apparently
happened.
you don't appreciate.
Right. And I remember just being home alone during the summer, because I never taught summer school during the summer. I always taught through the regular year. And during the summer, I was like, I just want to be home with my baby. So I was home the whole summer with her, and breastfeeding and changing the diapers, getting the bottles ready and cleaning her up and doing the laundry and all of that stuff. I literally started to feel anxiety. That's what it was. It was anxiety. Like my whole body would start to shake, and I would start to get afraid. All of a sudden, I would be afraid that she's going to stop breathing. So I'm checking her breath. I'm going like this as she's sleeping. I'm checking her nose to see if she's breathing, right? All of a sudden, she wakes up, and we get ready to go to the grocery store. I put her in the car. We're driving. All of a sudden, I have these thoughts in my mind that are literally saying to me, you could just drive your car off this cliff and everything would be over. Because I was so stressed of having the responsibility of this little baby. And my mind would say, you could just crash into this tree and everything would be over, right? That's the solution. That's what my mind
Yeah, I
would tell me.
thought that was normal.
No.
Because I experienced that too, but I just
No.
actually said, and this is what I said in my mind. I said, you know what? I'm young, because I had my first baby at 21. I said, I'm young, and pretty dumb, And I said to myself, I said, well, maybe that's just how you feel, after you give birth and all of this. That's what I thought in my mind, because I had those type of things going on in my head, especially well, for me, it was after my second baby more. So,
Yeah.
because I had the back-to-back babies.
Yeah. I was
So
23 when I gave birth to the first one. And then I was 25 when I gave birth to the second one.
yeah, see, I was
You're
21
right.
and 22.
You're right. It intensified with the second one.
Yeah.
You're
It's
right.
like it just, because for me, I felt like, oh, fuck, my life is over. That was one thing. My life is over. Oh shit. The other thing is I felt all this pressure to take care of these babies because I really didn't have a lot of people,
Yeah.
around me. And we when my youngest was born, I went actually home to Georgia so I could get some help because I knew I had the other baby. My kids were 19 months apart. I knew I had the other baby and I needed help. And I knew my ex was not, he was not help. And so my mom was like, well, come home, because we were actually here in Washington State when I had my first baby. And so I said, okay. So I went home and, and I did have some help. My grandmother was there, which was amazing because I really needed her. It turned out. But it was like afterwards, I was like, oh God, I got these little babies, and I had two babies still, both of them still in diapers. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I knew even then that my ex was not, he just was not husband material. I mean, he was handsome, he was kind when he was, he had a charm about him that people, even after we got divorced, were like, well, it can't be him because he's so nice. It must be you. That kind of shit.
So charming, so handsome, so
Charming,
charming, so
handsome, debonair.
charismatic.
Yes, all of those things. And I'm like, okay, but not provider material. And so, and I knew this even way back then, which, I think about it now. I'm like, well, I should have left him then, but I did. I left him by the last time. It was 3 times that we had split up. I did. I left him different times, but back to the depression part, I knew I felt that thing so strongly, but I just thought it was the normal way that, people felt after they had babies, especially after they gave birth to 2 of them in 2 years.
The baby blues. Isn't this just the baby
That's
blues?
what I said. I was like, okay, so this is because I had visions at one time of, we lived in this little tiny garage apartment and it was upstairs. And the stairs was like those little narrow,
Oh,
iron stairs, because it was an old, apartment from like the early 70s, late 60s or whatever. And it was these little narrow stairs and stuff. And I had a vision of just throwing my baby down the stairs. Maybe that'll be a better thing, especially because he was a crying baby. Because I went through so much with him that he had so much anxiety in his nervous system. And so I was standing there one day and I had him in my hands and I was like, maybe if I just throw this motherfucker down these stairs, for one thing, he'll shut the fuck up because he wouldn't stop crying. And I think about it now, it's like, I thank God for my grandmother, because if it wasn't for her, because I would take him over to her house and I said, call her, I said, you home? Are you up? Did you get rest? That's what I would ask her first. And she would say, yeah. Can I bring this baby over here? I would take the baby over to
please.
my grandmother's house and they would keep him and they would love on him. And, between my grandparents, because, the backstory is my son is my grandfather's first great grandchild, son. Yeah, son. My daughter was the first great granddaughter, but he was the first great grandson. So, that's a whole nother thing, but yeah, I would take him because I felt like I wasn't safe. And so I would take him over there, and then I would take my daughter to my mom's house or one of my aunt's house or somebody else's house for just a little while so I could get out of my head and get myself together and just have time just not to do anything and just to be, And so that to me was what it looked like for me. But like I said, I didn't even realize at the time. It took me years before I really realized, because, of course, you don't think back on these things, right? Until you do, or until you need to. And it was like, hell, what you want me to do? You know what I mean? So that to me is part of how that depression can hit you and you don't even realize, especially postpartum, because, a part of us thinks that That's normal. You know, that's what we're supposed to do. That's how we're supposed to act. But it's not.
Right. I remember thinking to myself one day, oh my God, I wish I could just take a shower. Because what I would do when I had my first one, I would put her in her car seat, and I would put her inside the bathroom on the
Into the
floor
shower.
by the toilet so I could take a shower and I could peek out and look at her, because I was so paranoid that something was going to happen to my baby on my watch. I was a bad mother. I had so much anxiety. It was just me. I didn't allow anyone to know because I was embarrassed. So I just
And
did it all.
where do you think that came from?
Just being a child myself and being neglected, abused sexually, verbally. Lots of things happened to me as a child. So when I had this little baby, I'm thinking, oh, I got to watch her 24/7.
I got to keep her safe. Yeah.
She's got to be in here with me while I'm showering.
If you think about it, it was a root chakra issue for you. Safety and security. And so really, if you think about it, when we have those issues, we transfer them unknowingly to our children.
Yeah.
So like you transfer that root chakra issue from yourself to your child, not even realizing that was what we're doing.
I had no idea what this was, this nervousness, this paranoia, this watching her, making sure she's breathing, you know, at all times, just ridiculous obsessiveness, ridiculous.
I see people with those the things, you know, that people talking to, and you got one in the room, and you know they got to hear the child all the time and all that.
Baby monitors all over the house.
That's it.
All over the house.
You think about it now, you're like,
ridiculous.
I was crazy.
Ridiculous. And then, you know, when I had the second one, I was doing the same thing, but then I thought to myself, I probably need to get help with this. Because if I have another one, I don't want to act like this. This is stupid. So I went to my gynecologist just for a regular checkup. And I said to her, I said, hey, I trusted her, really good lady. She actually ended up being my yoga instructor later. But that's how much I was really trusting of her. And so she said, so how are you? And that day I actually brought my two little ones with me. I remember this. The older one was about 4 and the younger one was about 2. And I brought them in and she was like, oh, look how cute they are. And I used to dress them alike and put pom-poms in their hair and all kinds of stuff. And she was like, they're so precious. I was like, yeah, but I got to ask you something. And she's like, what? I said, do you have like a crisis hotline I could call? And she goes, what do you mean? What's going on? I said, I'm having some really weird thoughts. And I'm embarrassed that I have these things going through my mind. And I don't know what to do. Because I don't want nobody to come take my kids from me. And she said, what's going on? I said, well, I get sad for no reason. I get scared for no reason. Like I'm looking at my kids like, are they okay? You know? And she's like, well, some of it is normal because you're a mom and your kids are little. She goes, but what kinds of thoughts are you having? So I told her everything that I was thinking. And she was like, you don't need a hotline. You need to go see a psychiatrist. She goes, and you need to see a therapist. She goes, how long has this been happening? And I was like, for years. She goes, I'm going to give you a referral to a psychiatrist and a therapist. You need to follow up. You are clinically depressed. And I was like, what does that mean? She goes, you've been depressed for more than a year and you're untreated and you haven't done anything about it. She's like, that's a problem. And so she looked at me because she knew I was trying to put a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah. Well, that's what we do, especially when we don't understand the depth of it. You know, we say, oh, you know, especially as mothers, you know, we say, oh, we can fix this. We'll just, you know, put a Band-Aid on it, and we'll just, you know, we'll wipe it, we'll clean it off and make it look good and pretty and whatever. And then we'll put a Band-Aid on it. You know, we'll dress it up, we'll make it up. You know, we'll buy some hair, or we'll build some hair, or we'll put some in it. You know, and then we'll put our makeup on and stuff. You know, we'll you know, I'll go to the MAC counter because, you know, they beat my face up. You know, so I'm gonna go to the MAC counter and I'm gonna get my face beat up. You know, I'm gonna go get my hair done, pressed and curl or whatever, and colors and this and that, and I'm gonna get my nails done, and I'm gonna do all this stuff. You know, and then I'll put a Band-Aid on that other shit. Oh no, I just won't talk about it.
Yeah.
So we'll just push it down, you know, and just keep pushing it down so that we can have that, you know, pretty face and smile and all of these things. And that's okay. And that's how we're going to do that, you know, because that is what they tell us to do, especially as women, you know, or where's that other thing? Get over it.
Pray.
Oh, that one. Yes. Because
Just
if you
pray it
prayed
away.
enough, you wouldn't be dealing with that.
Faith.
You're not praying enough. Oh, and you need to fast too. You know, go on a fast and fast. You know, that's what Jesus did, you know, and it'll all go away. You know,
And
or you're not speaking life to yourselves.
and we laughing, y'all, but this shit ain't funny.
But we serious.
This shit ain't funny.
It's not.
It's funny now because
Because you're on the other side of it, and you recognize it, and you know.
I'm on the healed side. Like, depression for me is something that's still a part of my life, but it's like a little gnat right here on the back of my neck. Yeah. And I feel it creeping up, and I'd be like, excuse me? Depression will sit in the back. So it doesn't have any hold on me. It's still there. Yeah. But it doesn't control me. I control and manage it because I understand what's going on. But back in 2007, 2008, when I had the third baby and the baby died, that was devastating.
I can only imagine. That would send me over the deep.
I was 8 months pregnant. I was teaching every day, 8 months pregnant. My students were helping me come up with names.
Was it the stress, do you think?
It was devastating.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
I went through the entire birthing process. And the thing that told me, my intuition said, go to the doctor. And my other mind was like, no, you have an appointment in a week, so just wait a week. I left my work. I went to the doctor. They checked the heartbeat. There was no heartbeat. I was like, nobody should have to deal with that.
No.
I asked
you still have to birth the baby, right?
I said, what do I do? They said, there's nothing you can do. We can induce you and you'll just need to give birth. Yeah. Yeah, that was rough.
That had to be, that had to be heavy. My God, I can't, oh, Jesus have mercy. Just the thought of it.
Took about 8 hours for me to give birth. She came out, beautiful baby. I named her Jasmine. And that was April the 8th, 2008.
So, you know, they call that rainbow babies. Right.
And then after Jasmine, Brandy was born. March 30th, 2009, a year later. Yeah.
So you have all girls?
I have all girls.
Oh, wow.
3.
Yep, you're the special kind of woman.
Oh.
Because I asked God for all boys.
Did you? Did you get 3 boys?
No,
2 boys?
no. I got my 1 girl and my 1 boy, and then I got my bonus son.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I asked for all boys because I was like, I don't want to do any hair. I was like, I already know this hair is going to come out, thick as hell and curly and 5 feet long. And it was, but I was like,
Yeah,
I would like to do my
the
own
hair is
hair. I don't want to do anybody else's. I already did, hair as a child.
Yeah.
I did all my little cousins and my sister, and because my mama had sisters that they had a bunch of girls and he had no business having them because they couldn't do no hair.
Hair, yeah. Ooh, hair is a whole thing.
So I would do it, cornrow everybody's hair and different things. I would treat them like my little dolls, and so I was like, when I got ready to have a baby, I said, I don't have to have no girls. I'm good. I'll have boys, and I'm fine with it. Because I like sports.
I want to do a quick survey. I want to ask the people who are on here. Raise your hand if you got girls and you struggling with the hair thing. Who has girls up in here? Who's in here?
I'm telling you, it's like, okay.
T, New Heights, the Christopher Williams, Andy Williams. Welcome, Andy Williams, to the space. I appreciate you being here. Yeah, if you got girls, raise your hand, because that whole hair situation is a big deal if you got girls. All right, there we go. Yeah, so the hair situation is a whole thing. That was stressful too. We got through it because I knew how to do braids. So it was always braids. But yeah, after I had the stillborn baby, I remember my pediatrician, well, the OB doctor that delivered the baby, he had a talk with me after all that was done. And he said, you know what? He said, this happened to me and my wife a decade ago. And I'll never forget this conversation. This was so special to my heart because he actually retired that next year.
Oh, wow.
So he delivered the stillborn baby. Was he there to deliver? No, he wasn't there to deliver my new baby. But here's what he told me. He said, do you want to have another baby? And I said, yes. And he said, do not wait. I said, but I'm scared because I don't know what's going to happen. If this baby was stillborn, what if something's wrong with me and the next baby is stillborn too, or has some type of problem? Or he goes, no. He says, don't worry about that. He goes, I'm going to make it so that if you get pregnant again, you will come in and have weekly checkups. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah, we'll monitor you closely because now you're considered high risk pregnancy. So you will be monitored. And so he made sure, he was like a guardian angel. He made sure through that entire pregnancy that I was seen and heard and supported.
That's a blessing.
Now, yeah, he was like a guardian angel. When it was time to give birth to the baby, there was a different doctor there. He had already retired, but he made sure that I was seen and heard and supported. That was so important to me. Yeah. And so when he gave me that pep talk, I was like, you know what? I do want another baby. We are going to have another baby, and I'm not going to be afraid. And when she came out, it was like my heart was in a million pieces, and she helped me put it all back together.
That's your baby girl.
That's my baby girl.
That's powerful. That is powerful.
She healed me.
That is so powerful. And it can happen just like that. Just like that. Just like that.
He was gone.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. I can relate to that because I had a similar experience with my youngest that I birthed. I didn't want him, and I didn't want any more kids because I had already raised so many other people kids. And I knew that my ex, he wasn't, like I said, he wasn't husband or father material. And so I didn't want him. And so when he came, I was like, oh God. But I went through a lot of stress while I was pregnant because my ex actually asked me for divorce and I was 8 months pregnant. And I told you I was 22 years old. So I was young and stupid. And so I was crying and, acting like a crazy nut and everything. And my baby was feeling it. And my grandmother actually spoke to me and said, "You're going to kill your baby." I say she slapped me in the name of Jesus is what she did. She said, "You're going to kill your baby." She said, because, your baby can't handle all of that stress and all of that anxiety that you're dealing with. So you're going to have to get your shit straight. What she said. And so I did. I had to. And I did. But when my baby came out, he had so much anxiety. He used to cry all the time. And that was unnerving because my first baby was not that way. She hardly ever cried. She was, the sweetest, goodest baby. And I guess that's what made me think maybe I could have another one and not realize that I was going to have the opposite type of child. And so, but I realized even through all of that, because with him, I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. He went home after 6 days, but I was in the hospital because I was still sick and dying. My body had shut down. My lungs had shut down. They were about to take me back to surgery to figure out what was wrong with me. They still don't know to this day what was the problem, but I know that the problem was the stress and anxiety that I put on myself. And when they allowed this baby to kick and beat my organs for 20 plus hours, because they let me labor for that long and then did a C-section because I never did dilate past 5. And so, but this baby kicked and beat and bruised my organs. So they all started shutting down after I delivered. So I couldn't eat for 2 weeks. They had an NG tube in me for about 10 days.
Wow.
So, and I think I ended up having 4 units of blood with that one. Now, mind you, this was 1991, right in the height of the AIDS epidemic. I actually had a friend that delivered at the same time that I did in the same city with the same blood supply. She ended up dying of AIDS because she got it from the blood. They traced it from the blood because none of the kids had it. She had 2 kids. None of the kids had it. The husband didn't have it. Nobody else had it. And she got the blood. And so, of course, my mind is going from that too, because I had 4 units in the same town, in the same blood supply. And so, anyway, but as time went forward, one thing I had to learn and I realized was because I felt so guilty about how I felt about this child, I was allowing him to be bad. I was allowing him to just, run rampant and do what the hell he wanted to do and all of this stuff until I began to heal from that thing. And I had to do that myself because I started seeing and I said, no, I can't allow him because, I raised my children where I raised them to be able to think, but with boundaries. So I wanted them to be free thinkers. I didn't want them to be where they felt like, they had to be in this construct, in this box. And I raised them so that they could think and be free thinkers, but also with boundaries. But what I realized when this boy was young, that I was allowing him to just run rampant and not raising him like I was supposed to because of the guilt that I had. And so I started healing that thing, and that allowed me to be the mother that I need to be for him. and to be the woman I needed to be for me, so that I could release all of that and let that go, so that I could raise him properly and I could give him guidance without feeling like, I was being too hard on him. And, like a lot of women raise their sons. I've seen that, especially in our culture. A lot of women, they raise their sons in such a place because they feel so bad for the things that they may or may not have to endure in this world, especially as black boys, the things that they're going to have to endure in this world. They raise them and they don't really teach them, and they don't give them the guidance that they need and set the boundaries that they need. And they just allow them to do all kind of things. And that's why so many of them get lost.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so that was the thing that I had to do, is I had to heal from that place that I was at, so that I could be this boy's mama and actually do what he needed to have done, because he needed boundaries and stuff, because he was a child that pushed boundaries, always did. And he needed that. And I needed to heal so that I could do that, because so many women don't. And their sons, and I hate to say this, but they raise these boys that ain't worth a damn.
Yeah.
They're not going to be worth nothing to nobody else. They're not worth nothing to themselves. And I refused to do that, but I knew that if I was going to be that mother, then I needed to heal from that and release myself and forgive myself for the way that I felt about this child. And it was a thing where I knew I loved him because he's my child.
Yeah.
And a part of it, of course, I know it, when I'm looking at it and thinking about it now, is I know that a part of it was because he looked just like his daddy. And so, there's that part, but I knew that I wanted to raise him so that he wasn't like him, even though he looked just like him. I wanted to raise him so that he wasn't like him, so that he was a good man, that he was a man that, desired to take care of his children and wanted something out of life, But I realized that if I didn't heal, then I could not take him where he needed to go. And that is something that I know people need to hear today, because I know there are a lot of women out there that have gone through this or are going through this same type of scenario that we're talking about. Because as we heal ourselves, then we heal our lineage and our generation, and that's something that is huge.
Yeah. So the postpartum depression for me lasted from 2000 to 2007.
Ooh, that's 7 years.
And so, yeah, that was the postpartum part. So was my diagnosis. So I told you, my gynecologist told me you need to go get a psychiatrist, you need to get a therapist, you need to get some help. I started doing that immediately, like 2005. And then I started seeing different specialists to figure out what the hell was wrong with me, because I was still having a lot of mood swings. So they decided to put me on medication. They told me to start looking at my diet, looking at exercise, looking at my lifestyle. I wasn't exercising at all. I was overweight. I was either overweight or underweight.
Wow. So it can
I
be
was
over
I was
or
never
under.
at a healthy weight.
Say that again for the people in the back. So it could be
I was
over or under. It doesn't have to just be over.
I was going through periods where I was overweight because I was emotionally eating up until midnight. And you would see little food wrappings, all over the place after everybody go to sleep. And there were some years where I lost my appetite. I had no appetite. I didn't want to eat anything. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to have sex. I didn't want to do anything but sleep. I went through years of both. And one of my therapists said, you need to start writing. And I was like, why? She was like, you need a journal. And you need to start writing down all your triggers, and you need to start looking at what it is that's bothering you. And you need to start unearthing some of these things that came from your childhood, and you need to start dealing with these things one by one by one.
Yeah.
So 2009, I had my third baby, fourth birth, but I still felt, how am I going to get over the fear of not being able to be with my children all the time? So that's when I had to go inside, and I had to really start thinking, okay, what are all these things that are bothering me? I had to start taking the stuff out. Okay, I was molested. I was abandoned and neglected. We were homeless by the time I was 8. And there was just a lot of fear. I watched my mom be beat. I used to hear in the next room the fighting, the screaming, the yelling, he had all kinds of weapons in the house. So sometimes she would come out of the room bleeding, her hand would be bleeding, he would cut her. And it was like, I was having all these nightmares and fears that somehow I wasn't going to be able to protect my children. That was the limiting belief that was floating through my mind through the entire postpartum process. So I had to unearth all of that, write that stuff out, and deal with it.
Yeah.
That was a lot. Then there was a whole nother phase, which was the bipolar, which was being triggered by stress at work.
Yeah.
The lack of boundaries, trying to do everything, And so postpartum is over here. Now we're doing the bipolar with the work-related stress.
So did you feel like you had to prove yourself all the time?
Yeah, I felt like I needed to be the financial backbone of this family. Yeah. I took that upon myself. I need to be the financial foundation for these children.
Yeah.
Okay. I also need to be the best teacher in the world because I'm brand new and I'm Black. And so I need to show up early and stay late, and I need to do double duty.
Of course you do.
Okay, because I want to keep this job, because this is 2002, 2003 is when I first started teaching. They were laying teachers off like left and right. Even though there was still a teacher shortage, they were still laying us off.
Yeah, that's just what they did in nursing.
Only the strong shall survive. So I took it upon myself to show up early,
be the strong,
late, carry everything. Anything y'all need me to do, I could do it. Any type of department lead thing you want me to do, I'll do it. You got extra work? I was staying at work from 7 in the morning to 8 at night.
But where was the kids?
With their daddy at home. Wow. Workaholic. I was a workaholic. But in the summertime, it was just me there with the kids in the summer. And so I would go through this whole culture shock of, what the hell I'm gonna do with these kids all day?
Damn, now that is real.
Kids, they keep eating. So I have to cook again? Oh my God. Why am I cleaning and doing this laundry? Does it ever stop? No. The hell? Why all these toys?
Because you know what I used to say when with that kind of stuff, I'd be like, I'm going to work. Y'all figure it out. I'm going to work. I don't have time to deal with that. Y'all figure it out. Oh my God. That is hilarious.
Yeah. So today, what I tell people is, because I work with a lot of clients who are still in that space where I was, with the kids and the house and the bills and all that stuff. And I'm like, the only thing you can do is have your journal next to your bed at night, because you can control that. You can control writing. You might not be able to control anything else in the world, but you can control, document, write your story, write down how you're feeling, write down who's with you, like, what's bugging you, write that stuff down, because your testimony is always based on the test. You're always going to be tested. You're always going to have some stress going on. You're going to have some relationship issues, some boundary issues. And until you figure out how to manage your life, you're going to feel bad. If you got a bunch of things going on at once and you don't know how to manage things, you're going to feel bad. I think it's almost time for us to go, huh? We got to wrap this up.
I'm looking at that. I was looking at it. I was like 11:45. I was about to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to get a thumbs up?
I think it's been very amazing, because I think that the things that we talked about, especially regarding depression, especially postpartum, because did we know we were going to go there? No. But it's what was needful, because there are a lot of people in that space that don't really understand that. And I'm so grateful, that it showed up for me, because I didn't know. I was like you. And and I say this because people say, well, you're a nurse. Yeah, but I haven't always been a nurse like all my life. I've been a nurse most of my life. But then the other part of that too is, nurses are just like doctors. We have specialties in areas that we work in, and just because you've been trained in that area, if you haven't worked in it, you don't know, and you don't remember all that stuff. I mean, I graduated from school in 1993. So I don't remember all that stuff we learned if I didn't use it.
And you can't, nurses can't be their own nurse.
No, you can't. You got to have somebody.
Their own surgery. Like, you need support. You need to be seen, heard, and supported. That's what I've learned.
Yes.
You need to have coaches and mentors and teachers and pastors, and you need to have all of it. It's got to be a whole circle of people around you helping you. That's the only way I survived. Is I have a ton of therapists, coaches, mentors, friends, family, clients. I have a whole support system of people who pray for me, give me words of affirmation.
And people you can reach out to.
Yeah, like this is what I needed, but I didn't know because I was so prideful and so embarrassed. And so my ego was just talking to me like, well, da, da, da. I don't even listen to that stuff no more. I'm like, I need help.
I know, right? And it's so amazing when you realize you do and you actually reach out and get it. Because a lot of times we, especially as women, and I'm just going to say, especially as Black women, we're like, I know I don't need to talk to nobody. We don't do that. That's not something we do. It's just like they say, we don't commit suicide. Yeah, we do. We don't do that. That's not something that in our culture we do. So a lot of times we gloss over a lot of it instead of really embracing it and really going out to find out what we can do to help ourselves, and how we can shift it.
I definitely want to talk about suicide next week. Definitely. Because that's one of the things that has crossed my mind multiple times, and I have had to fight those demons every day. And so people feel like, when you watch the news and you see celebrities that commit suicide, people start to get like, oh, they were so happy. They were so charismatic. They were so handsome and rich and da-da-da. Handsome, rich, charismatic, sexy, sweet, smart, ambitious. None of that counts when you got thoughts running through your head that are saying, why don't you just end it today?
Yeah. Or what would it look like? Because this is one, that I've seen. What would it look like if I wasn't here? That kind of shit. And you're like, like somebody actually said that to me, and I said, you need to talk to somebody.
Yes.
I said, you need to have a conversation. I said, you need the crisis number. Do you have somebody that you talk to, on a regular basis? I said, do you need the number for the crisis team? I said, because you need to talk to somebody.
Yes. I just had
because of course it comes subtly a lot of times, especially if you're on the lookout for it.
Yes.
If you start looking for it, it'll come in another way that maybe you're not expecting,
988 National Suicide Hotline. 988.
988.
I just learned that from one of my mentors, who's also a coach. She gave me that information to share with one of my friends in my network. And 211 is in Nevada. I'm in the state of Nevada. That's for domestic violence. And so connect with me if you need some resources, because I have been in touch with all kinds of people, from mental health specialists to domestic violence specialists,
Right.
Suicide. This was not my plan of what I wanted my life to be, but this is the position that God has placed me in to help people, because I had to figure out how to help me and save my life. So my purpose is to help people with whatever it is. I can connect you. I'm a super connector.
Yes.
I might not be able to provide the service, but I will plug you in to where you can get the service.
Exactly. And Latasha and I are the same with that. I might not be able to do it, but I know people. And, or I know how to Google shit too. I know how to find out, where you can go, somebody that can help you, and I think that's crucial, especially in these days, because, so many times people are like, oh, well, come in here and I can help you with this, that, and the third, but they can't help you.
No, you have to have qualified specialists with credentials and licenses to help you.
Yes.
Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has a strategy, but not everybody has a solution that's going to work for you.
For you. That is the important part, because there's so many things you hear out there. And because I've seen a commercial for BetterHelp, that might be something that could help you, because I've seen a lot of people that have been talking about it. Some people that I know personally have used it that said it was great. And, so that might be, an option for you, especially, I think it's a low price option, which is good.
Exactly. Because people say, oh, well, I don't have health insurance, or it's too expensive. Please don't ever use money as a reason not to get help.
Yes.
I don't care if you have to borrow or beg, don't steal.
I was going to say, and they'll find you resources a lot of times, especially if you, if you call a crisis center or whatever, because there are resources out there. And I think the president just signed another bill to help with mental health issues too.
Okay, we need to talk about this on the next episode, talk about suicide, because it's close to my heart. Working with teenagers, man, I've seen too many.
Me too. I think that's one of the reasons why I do this work, because that started hitting me, that people were just committing suicide left and right. And there were people that, just like we talked about, Black people don't do that. Black people do it.
Yes.
Everyone does it. We used to think Black people didn't do it, Asian people didn't do it, Indian people didn't do it. Guess what? All of us do it. Every single person in every single type of culture, we all do it. So let's get the elephant out of the damn room, and let's start talking about it and having the conversation, so that we can help people, so that we can shift, people. Because the thing is, I think about that, and it's like, I see different people and I say, God, I wish I could have helped them. I wish I could have helped them. Right. All right. So it looks like we got to get off of here. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back again next Friday. We'll do it again. Same bat time, same bat station. I know I'm dating myself.
I know. Bat channel. Same bat channel.
Same bat channel. We'll be right here. Thank you for joining us on Facebook and Instagram. Latasha, any last words?
I love you guys. Thank you for following us, and thank you for tuning in, and share this video with your friends.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a way you can share it with a Facebook group or text the link to someone, I mean, sometimes you don't have to be the solution for your friend. All you need to do is send them a video like this.
Yeah.
And we can take it from there, right? Like, that's why we have these conversations, because sometimes you don't want to have the conversation with your friend because it might be uncomfortable. Well, let us have the conversation, because we already know we're not embarrassed or ashamed.
No.
We already moved through that phase. We're not embarrassed. We're not ashamed. We're not, we don't have any negative feelings about the stuff, because we know that you getting help is what's going to actually help you heal. Other people are going to help you heal. You're not going to really be able to sit and heal all by yourself. You need a community, you need a tribe, you need a village. You know how they say it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise an adult too, because sometimes we're little kids on the inside. Yes. And we need somebody to help raise us up. I just told one of my gurus yesterday, I said, Guru, you done growed me up. Because we've been working together like 6 months. And I said, you done helped me grow the hell up in these past 6 months. And she was like, for real? I said, yeah, I'm so much bolder and wiser and smarter. And I said, it is your fault. She was like, no, it's your fault because you did the work. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I have to say this. I love it when a plan comes together.
Yes. Yes. I love it. I love it.
So it's just amazing, and we are having so much fun. So y'all, if you have any questions, you know, that maybe you want us to talk about, or some topics that you want us to you know, expound on, leave them in the comments and let us know, you know, something that, you know, you want to know, something you're interested in that we can share and talk about, because nothing is off limits. We are having these conversations because we know people need to know the things that we're talking about. And we know that a lot of times people are ashamed to ask these questions, just like we were. You know, because you know something is not right, but you don't really know what is. And then you don't want to put yourself out there like that. Especially, I know for me, I've been black sheepish my whole life. So, you know, I never want to just put myself out there, especially if it's looking strange and crazy. You know, I'm like, okay, I'm not trying to look crazy. You know, I'm not trying to do that, you know, and that's how a lot of us are. So that's why we're having this discussion, just to share and be vulnerable and real and raw and open, so that you can feel comfortable coming to that point of sharing, whether you're sharing with other people, sharing in a group, sharing with yourself, sharing with a doctor, but just having the conversation, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, open up, speak up.
So we're going to get off here right now. We thank you so much for joining us. Join us again next Friday, where we'll do it all again. I'm super, super excited about this show. Make sure that you're following us on all the social media platforms. I'm Tammi Morrison across all the platforms. So super excited. Have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, night, weekend, whatever you are, you know, listening to this or watching this. And thank you so much for joining us.
Yes. Have a great week, guys.
Have a great week. Bye. Wonderful weekend. And join me on the MeWe if you are in the Linwood, Washington area. We're doing the MeWe fairs this weekend, Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. I'll have my wonderful Reiki infused jewelry, and I'll also be doing mini healings where I'm doing chakra alignment and just a little joy session for you. So if that's something that you're looking for, come on and join us out there. There's 102 practitioners, so there's probably everything that you might desire that you want. So come on and join us. Thank you so much. Bye.